All right, I'd like to call to order the Village of Marvin Parks Recreation and Greenway Board meeting here on July 11th at 9:03 a.m. With Bob, Jennifer's, and Christine. We have a quorum, so first item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Any questions or edits to be made? Do I hear a motion on the table to adopt the agenda as written?
So moved. Seconded.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Next is the adoption of the previous minutes, which are for June 6th, 2023. These were part of our package. Any questions or edits requested to be made of those minutes? Do I hear a motion on the table to adopt the previous minutes for June 6, 2023 as they are written?
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. And next item on the agenda is public comment period, and I don't believe we have any public, so no comment. Moving on to item number B is Parks and Recreation update, which first item is the 2023 Marvin Day survey results.
Make sure he has a microphone. You got to speak into it. You can pull that one down there.
All right. So on the survey, we got 34 responses. About 50. The first question was, did you attend Marvin Day? And the majority, I got 52% of people that completed the survey.
And Tyler, how many?
34 people responded, and over half, about 52% of those people responded that they didn't attend the event. So that would leave, 18 of the people said no, and then pretty much mixed reviews up and down the survey. We asked people to rate it. We got a lot of praise on a scale of 1 to 10, a lot of high scores. People rated it a 6.
I'm going to put these on your screen too. So
Okay, yeah.
Give me 1 second.
A little close to you, sorry.
Did we sent this out in the newsletter?
We did.
Is that the only way we sent it? Is that the only way people got it?
Newsletter, social media, website. So
Yeah, I saw it published in a couple of spots.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so that's the.
And our total population,
6,300.
Yeah, 6,300.
That was the last
It
official
was
count.
68. Forgot.
And we also asked the people that said no what kept them from attending. Some of the comments kind of led to they didn't have any interest or they had previous engagements that night. That's pretty much the gist of those. Not too many people said they didn't hear about it. I think a lot of people knew about it.
Couple
Don't like food truck food?
a couple complaints about the shuttles too.
Yeah, well.
Those came. Yeah.
Somebody had a lot to say.
So somebody lost their dog that night because of
Yeah.
the fireworks, but was found. The dog was found, so it all worked out just fine. I read over all of these because it's going to be on our agenda tonight. I think you had half the people that attended that responded to it. We did have a lot of negative Nancy's that were saying, "Oh, all of the money that the village spent on it," and the public funds. Well, just to reiterate, no public funds were spent on this event. Just so that everybody knows that, this was all donations by sponsors. So, there you go. And my thing is, if you don't like food truck food, eat before you come then. Bring a picnic.
All right.
Keep going.
Yeah, this is interesting for 30, 40, or 50.
A couple people did say it was too long of a day, which I think we all agree on, and we're trying to figure out how to condense that. which we are having our first Marvin Day meeting after this meeting, so we'll have a lot more input and updates for you guys at the next PR&G meeting, so.
I think it goes back to, last year when we talked about doing too much versus doing few things and doing them extremely well.
Yeah,
I think it's showing up in,
I think it was just a long day. It's a long day. We were trying to, do the 5K, do the fireworks, and you kind of have to do those at the beginning and end of each day. So we're gonna come up with we've already come up with some ideas, so we'll see. See, one of their favorite things was watching the dunk tank. Look at that.
I mean, that is everybody's favorite.
I thoroughly enjoyed that part.
I mean,
45 minutes in the dunk tank was a long time. I'm just gonna throw that out there. It was a long
I bet it
time.
was. Okay. Oh,
what was the total attendance? Do we have an attendance count?
it's gotta be hard to say.
No.
It's hard to determine.
I would say with the 5K throughout the day and into the evening, I'd say we'd had 700 people rotate through, I would say. Not ever at one time, and definitely a lot less by the end of the day. So I think
Well, in the morning over at the barn, it was
Yeah.
a great turnout.
it was great.
Yeah.
It was very, very busy.
It really was, and I
Yeah.
thought maybe that would be indicative of the day.
Yeah, unfortunately, everybody saw, most people left and it went down from there. So again, we're working on trying to figure out the timing of it, and so again, hopefully we'll have some more information for you guys at the next meeting after we have our first Marvin Day meeting.
Yeah, and even aside from the timing, I think also the date might make a difference because, I've seen in a couple of these comments and things like that, it gets very, very busy right at the end of that school year, with graduations. Somebody said dance recitals, which always happen at that time.
I don't know when else to do it. You are always gonna have
Yeah.
somebody that has something to do. If we push it to the fall, you've got parents' weekend at colleges, you've got football games, you've got people playing football. If you do it May, you've got college graduations. If we do it in the summertime, people are out of town. So I don't think we're gonna be able to accommodate everybody. I think we just need to land on a kind of a happy medium, and then whoever can come, but, I think there were some struggles with having it at the park, but we can't get the high school during the school year. They basically said it's not gonna happen, so that puts us in the middle of the summer. I don't wanna be out there in the middle of the summer, like, that sounds terrible to me. So, again, I think some creative thinking and trying to figure out, kind of what shakes out. I don't know.
The one question I would have from the school's perspective, the year before, we had done it at the school. Was there something specific that came out of that kind of made them take that position the next year, or?
No, they just didn't know what the sports schedule was, the graduation schedules were going to be.
As early as we were looking to set a date?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so they just said, to be safe, you can say after, I think they said after June 20th or something.
Yeah.
So, and at that point, for me, it's too hot. And again, you're gonna have people that are out of town. People are
Yeah.
traveling, and so, we can look at it again and, ask them again, and see if we could just settle on a date and see if they'll just reserve that and plan around our date. I just don't know that they're gonna do that.
I have two thoughts. One is, I think that as we continue to do this, if we do continue to do it, and I think that needs to be a discussion, I think it's something that can build, and you learn from doing, and you improve it as you move forward. But at some point, is there a sense, does the council look at this and go, we thought this was a great idea, but we've been into this 3 or 4 years now, and the community's just not involved?
Yeah, I think so, but we gotta get to 3 or 4 years.
I know, but
So-
is that on the table?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course, we're gonna continue to
Well, I just think
look at it.
marketing's a huge piece of this. If I look at,
I agree,
this,
I agree.
and I've only got 34 people responding to social media on a questionnaire. In Marvin Day, people put a huge amount of effort in it. It's a very positive event for our community. We've got to figure out a better way to go about marketing the
I agree. We had some missteps this year that our person who said they were gonna make signs for us bailed on us at the last minute. We didn't get physical signs up as soon as we had wanted to. Stuff happened. But I agree with you. I think we've gotta do more and earlier and often, and, now that we have a dedicated person who can handle all of that, and it's not Jill, trying to do finance too, I think we're gonna have a better result next year.
Well, and I think a component of this is that, as you mentioned, as long as we continue to have support of the sponsors and things like that, and we're really not using, village funds to do this, I think we have that rope to do a couple of more years to continue to try to perfect it, But I think that's an important component is, as long as we continue to have the sponsorship, they're getting out of it what they feel is worthy.
Yeah, and I haven't heard that anybody was, I've heard that there was a couple of people that were a little disappointed in the turnout, but I have not heard anybody say we won't sponsor again next year.
Yeah.
But that's from my people that I have talked to and my people that I got as sponsors. I haven't had that,
Broad
conversation with
conversation.
everybody, and I haven't gotten that feedback again. I'm hoping we'll get some of those updates later today.
Well, and it might be something, we did this survey here, but maybe we also do something like a survey of the sponsors to get some
I think Jill was
feedback from
reaching
them.
out to
Okay.
everybody to kind of get a pulse check on, or somebody was.
Got it.
So, yeah.
This is only, well, this is marginally connected, but the fact that we had 34 people who commented, 34,
And only half of them attended, so I'm not sure what everybody else is commenting on if they weren't there.
well, but that's still those are the ones you really want to know, why did you not show up? I
Right.
mean, I guess that's the
Right.
question. And they still could have been involved, just driving by. But, Marsh has the exact same problem with getting people's attention. And I would really like for anybody's, not here today, but anybody's ideas about how we get people's attention.
I know how. You put a backhoe in their backyard and somebody will pay attention.
If you put a roundabout in their front yard, it will happen.
Somebody will pay attention. It's true. I don't know, Christina. I would,
It's hard to do.
it is hard to figure out, and we try, and we as the village, staff has gone above and beyond on putting information out there.
I know.
And I've said it in multiple meetings, I can lead you to the water, but I cannot put your face down to it to drink it. It is out there,
Yes.
but we cannot make people go look for it, and I don't know how to do it. So I think brainstorming and suggestions is always, helpful, because we're always up for it.
Yeah, because, that would work for all of our events. We had a national night out, was that last year, that was just crazy, right?
Yeah.
But we're really not sure why, because God knows it was hot.
It was hot.
The weather
It was hot.
not conducive.
I don't
We
know.
worked our butts off, so, because he wasn't there.
Yes.
So that one worked, and Halloween worked. Like,
Halloween got thrown out way broader than,
yes, but for your sponsors at Marvin Day, they don't care.
they
what
don't
people
care.
think.
You're right, they
Yeah,
don't care.
yeah.
They don't care.
And as, from the Marsh side, I don't care where they go.
Yeah, so, maybe we say, hey, Jill, we're just into all the trick-or-treat stuff too, because she's the one that got it. And we kind of decided that we didn't want to go as broad, because we didn't think the park could handle it. It was busy, the shuttles were busy, until later in the afternoon.
It's just people were coming and going. It wasn't building. And building is part of what we're talking about here. Even when we started to talk about, a Marvin Day, part of it is about building a community, and building takes some time. So we mentioned we've learned a little bit from year to year, and we'll continue to refine it. But I think overall, when you look at the 5K, when you look at all the traffic we had through the early and mid-afternoon, there were, like you said, maybe 500, 700, whatever the number is. There were a pretty good amount of people that did participate, from a community perspective. It's just building on that and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't.
I agree.
I do have a contact at Indian Trail, if you're interested in talking to him. They had a festival that same day. 17,000 people showed up. They used shuttles. He said we had people standing in line. They were mad on the other side because they were standing in line for a shuttle. So they've been doing this for a couple of years.
Okay, that might not be a bad idea, Tyler, to get that.
He's a good guy. He will definitely, I'll get you his contact.
That'd be good.
Regard,
I also have another, have a suggestion just based on a really quick scan of what we were seeing here on the screen, is on the, what did you like about the event? I'm gonna guess maybe about half of the people who actually bothered to respond were like, fireworks! And
Then the
here
other
on
half.
the, what did you dislike about the event? I'm guessing these are the people who, a lot of these are the people who didn't go, but live around it saying, I hate the fireworks. One suggestion for that this year is looking into either drone displays or laser light shows. So we don't have the kaboom, but we still have the attraction. Because the drone, the organized, synchronized drone thing is growing, and if we
Yes.
have a local provider, those things are amazing.
Yeah.
on our communications, by the way, our newsletter readership is, we have a 60% open rate roughly.
Really?
And so with a list of around 1,100 emails, that's at least six to 700 people actually opening it. So they're seeing that there's a survey, they're just choosing not to click
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
And we
And
have-
I'm basing that off the
Yeah.
huge amount of mail I get from my newsletter part.
And
Yeah.
our social media is done very well, and our website gets a lot of
He's not in
traffic.
this meeting, he's not allowed to talk.
But then
But he can
again,
flail around, right?
I can
it's always a numbers game. And if you talk about 600 people opened it, your response to a survey is going to be 5 to 10% anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so is that number really shocking if you know that's how many people opened it? No, that's just part of the numbers game in any type of surveying.
The one thing, you know, Kim, and I know everybody agrees with this, is I don't know how to get the HOA president.
Yes, I was going there.
You know, we've held the meetings. I think Wayne's come to one or two, maybe. I know Jennifer's come, but generally speaking, when we have a HOA president's meeting, we have a fairly low turnout. And then you all have done a pretty good job, I think, of disseminating the information down. I wish we could figure out, and so far we've not been able to, in terms of how to engage HOA presidents to at least send out an email to their neighborhoods.
I don't get anything, and I know what's going on.
Yeah, you're not alone. I mean, it's like pulling teeth, and
I know.
and frankly, this year, you know, Austin actually wrote copy for us for Marvin Day. All that had to happen was an attachment be put onto an email, and that information could have gone out. Because you don't want to talk to somebody one time. You want to talk to somebody 20, 30, 40, 50 times, because, you know, this is old marketing, but people, you know, there's 2,000, 3,000 marketing impressions every single day. So if somebody says, hey, I saw it one time, the chances of them remembering it are about slim to none. So, again, I just think marketing is a key component as you guys, as we move forward on this thing, so.
I think another thing to consider with marketing is maybe physical mailers.
Yes.
Yeah.
The real estate glossy postcards just to our Marvin residents, and maybe a few areas we're looking to annex, like the chimneys and the people around.
You could do the 28173 zip.
In our
Because-
sphere
and
of
we could
influence,
even
yeah.
put on there entirely funded by sponsors, or, you know, whatever messaging we need to
Yeah.
sort of tweak.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that people have a more positive thing, and if they're getting it through, if they've seen it on a roundabout, but they didn't have time to read the sign and they forgot about it. And then they get an email from their HOA and they deleted it and they kind of forgot about it. At least one of those times, if then they have a physical thing, that sits on the counter because nobody ever gets it to the recycling bin, and they might see it more times. So it's just another avenue to let people see the same information again.
Yeah.
It's almost like a save the
And
date
to
kind
hit
of
the-
thing.
Yeah, and to
Yep.
hit the people who aren't on the website or aren't
Oh,
on
yeah.
social media or whatever, just a different avenue.
No, I mean, I think it's a good idea.
I agree with that
And then it's
100%.
also targeted to
Marvin.
locals and not,
Yeah,
you know.
broadly broadcast.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Did you have something you said?
Yeah, you're talking about people not coming. This is, people come to me, and the biggest problem they had in Marvin Day was the shuttles. They
yet
And
Indian
that's
Trail
reflected
had
on the survey.
17,000 that didn't care.
Stood in line.
Charlotte had however many thousands at Cheerwine Festival that didn't care. Salisbury, whatever, wherever it was. Yeah.
I'm sure they do it at Freedom Park, at Festival in the Park. I'm sure there are shuttles there, because there's no parking around there. Come on, yeah, all the big.
No, I know.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things that if you get used to it and you try it one time, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, if the event is a big enough demand that everybody's going,
That's-
people will
yeah.
Get
out
on the
and try
shuttle.
it, and then once, like,
Right.
I agree, once
Shuttles-
they've done it,
Then it's easy.
then it's not
Shuttles
so
is a
intimidating.
straw man argument.
Yeah.
If I want to go to an event like the Wells Fargo Golf Tournament,
You're gonna get in
I
a
get
bus.
on my shuttle and I go to the golf tournament.
Air
So-
conditioned or not.
So that's just, to me, a straw man
It's
argument.
an excuse. It's just,
Yes.
yeah.
It's definitely an initial excuse for sure, but I think if we can make the event a big enough draw, people will get over that.
Well, and it's resistance to change, because
Yep.
last year we did it not with the shuttles. So, people that went last year
shuttle
might
and
be,
you wanna
oh,
go."
shuttle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
But if you
Christine's
keep
right,
it,
get used to it.
yeah.
Yep. Okay. What else? We're gonna keep talking about it. We're gonna bring back more information as the committee meets and we make more decisions, so.
Speaking of shuttles, next question.
Yeah, I agree with Bob, though. Straw man. That's, yeah. It is what it is.
And then what would you
Oh.
like to be added to next year's event?
More animals.
Yes.
Yeah, they liked the pony rides. It's
course they do.
difficult to put together, but, yeah,
The
Response
horse
number 12 is
expo,
interesting.
they called it.
yeah,
Oh, that was across from the school, yeah.
yeah.
Bands and fireworks,
Uh,
bands and fireworks.
Organized kids games. Man, we had so much more stuff for the kids this year.
That was somebody else's complaint.
Co-
that they
did it-
didn't
I just
go
thought it was a
because
kids' event,
was
yeah.
supposed to
It was
be
a kids' event.
You can't please everybody.
Again, cats, puppies versus kittens. Like, you're gonna save one, not the other. Somebody's gonna get mad.
But I do want to put a little piece in there, again, at least the stuff that the Marsh booth had at it, we were not just trying to hit kids with it. I mean, we have a huge, right, Jennifer, a huge dearth of, well, that's not the right word. We need a lot of education for our area in what we're talking about. And so adults and kids need to see what we've got going on there. So I get that they thought it was a kids event, and sure, that's great if that's what brings you in. But there were plenty of things for adults to do too. Maybe it just wasn't as clear. I don't know.
I think it's funny, we have 3 requests for more art.
And crafts.
Yeah, well, I'm lumping those together, arts, the handmade gifts, art, and a craft show. So out of these very minimal responses, we have,
Which we had them.
yeah, only,
I guess it's technically, statistically significant. I mean,
Uh,
because
it
it's
is,
random, it's a
3 out of-
random
out of
sample.
17 answers?
It's a random
Our
sample.
sample size is not large enough.
I don't know. It doesn't have to be huge.
Okay, anyway.
If it's random, it doesn't have to be huge.
Any other questions? All right.
All right, moving on to the next item is update on event planning.
Because that was.
And Tyler, this is just a general update. If you want to tell them anything about anything you're working on.
So right now, we're just working on National Night Out, August 1st, that evening, starting at 5:30. And we can talk more about that here in a minute, but I would like to say that if anyone is going to be available on August 1st, definitely could use anyone and everyone. That's what I've heard. I've reached out to Ms. Castellucci about it. I meant to reach out to you. but
Yeah,
we'll
and
definitely
I
get some-
will not be able to attend. I'll be out of town. So,
Although we just should have a little bit of relief for shift change, because man, that smoke was something
I
else.
will not have anywhere else to be that night too, so.
Well, again, it's her birthday day.
I will stay.
I will be volunteering my husband, so you can stick him on grill duty.
Oh, thank you. He's such a good sport.
well, I guess I have some questions, though. I think it was at the last meeting, we kind of discussed it, and are we procuring the food? There was some discussion about whether we were getting in touch with Officer Swan, and he used to, get donations from some of the places, and are the detectives working on this at all, or is this pretty much just a village thing?
Yeah, so Officer Swan and Officer Tommy have kind of been getting in on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the hot dogs. We're going to cook the hot dogs, and that's what we're just going to do, hot dogs through us.
No burgers.
Yeah, no burgers, just hot dogs.
Only tongs then, not flippers.
Exactly.
Lots of tongs.
We're working, so the police officers are trying to procure like cookies, chips, some donations like that from the grocery stores. I'm gonna also try to do that as well with them to kind of help them along. And then we'll purchase hot dogs, buns that day. That'll all be us doing it. That's like free to the people. And then Junior Scoops, the ice cream vendor, will be there. That will be for purchase. So the patrons can buy that if they so choose.
Okay. And we did decide we're not doing a movie or anything with it, just because it gets too late for it to get dark and stuff like that. Yep.
It'll be 5:30 to 8 and end at 8:30.
Okay.
Do we have any kind of entertainment, or do we need it? I can't remember if we had any last year. I was too busy.
I believe last year they just did the movie. I wasn't here, but
Maybe that
We
was
did
the,
a bounce house last
You
year.
had a DJ,
We-
you had a DJ last year, I believe.
Yeah, I feel like there was music, because
We-
I think you and I were kind of rocking out. We kept
there
getting
was
people
music.
coming
I,
up to me.
thi- I think there was a guy playing guitar, a friend of,
I feel like there was music.
So
we have the
a couple,
DJ.
2 or 3 years ago, we had a bluegrass band. Last year, I believe we switched to a DJ when Jill was planning the event, and we've had that DJ back for Marvin Day. We've had him for the last few events we've had. He's always
Yeah, I
willing
think
to
that
turn
was,
out.
I think you're saying that, and it's reminding me that I think I remember her saying that the DJ that we had for National Night Out, oh, that worked so well, let's get him for Marvin Day.
We had a guitar player at the tree lighting, and I think he was also here for the ribbon cutting ceremony.
are y'all keeping him busy?
And we do have the DJ Stevie will be there, and we do have a bounce house for National Night Out.
Oh, well.
okay.
Excellent.
Keep the kids occupied.
Perfect. Dancing at the grill. Do we have a grill?
We're using fire thorns.
Good. I want to bring that.
Okay. Any more questions on event planning or anything else that you have specific? Okay. Next item on the agenda is update on trails and greenways.
Do you have an update, Tyler?
I believe Hunter has gotten the easement, and once we get it signed, we will start on the Tullamore Phase 4. And that shouldn't be far away. Once that gets signed, I'll get in contact with our trail builder, and we'll get that rolling. That shouldn't be very long away at all.
Have we finished the connector through Internal Preserve Trail to Marvin Creek on Painted Turtle? Has that been
Painted Turtle,
done?
yes.
It's done? Perfect. So now there's a connector from the Internal Preserve Trail into Marvin Creek. So now you can literally walk from anywhere in Marvin Creek all the way up to Village Hall and not have to be on the exterior loop.
Where's the connector trail hitting Painted Turtle?
That's a cul-de-sac in
It's a
Marvin Creek.
cul-de-sac.
I know, I walk, it's
Yep.
a concrete path going behind Painted Turtle.
No, I think it's gonna be a natural, I think it was a natural trail. The trail builder did it. They hooked from the Internal Preserve Trail, which is a natural trail. And then they've got the natural trail coming up between, there was an easement, and I haven't been back there to look at it.
Well, I'll go walk it.
I say, oddly enough, I haven't been back there, and it's right behind my property.
There's a,
Literally the
there's
corner.
a, you know, as you know, there's a concrete
Yeah.
path.
Yeah, there's
But
a
it's
concrete
natural.
path
But it's
from
natural
Painted
trail,
Turtle,
right?
Painted Turtle that
It's
goes back
natural.
That's
around
not- I
to
think
the,
that's
Marvin
crushed
Creek.
stone.
The Joe Carter Loop.
And then
Or-
I think it comes
Yeah.
in from the south, and it's natural, and then
That
links
I'll
up.
go
to
walk
The
it.
sideway cuts from the cul-de-sac, and then I don't know what
But I
it
haven't
That's great,
actually
though,
walked.
I just know me and
From
Scott
our
talked on the
house,
phone,
we
and
do
it
the
comes
Joe
out
Carter
right
Loop
there
plus
into
the-
concrete. It kind of looks like
What
concrete.
we call the long hike, that concrete path is 3.5-mile walk.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, you know, it may be a 5-mile walk if we go up to the preserve and come back.
I mean, you can easily get in the preserve, walk around it.
From here.
You can walk from here, you can go down, you can do the loop around, you can hop on, you can then go into Marvin Creek, go across the street, down over to Tullamore and Amber Meadow, I mean, it's a really nice connector, and having that little internal piece so that you don't have to get out on the exterior loop to do it is nice.
I mean, we're talking about all kinds of drop-off points and like different links of trails.
Yeah.
And I know that we have that map on the website, but could we maybe do almost like, you know how all the trails in the Smokies, they'll say it's this long and you start here and you end there and it's this elevation change. We don't need that because there's none of that. But that we give people like a little list of places they can start and end and how long it is. I sort of did this for Marvin Day. I made a little map for them and said, these are all the different trails. It was just a little bit more laid out for them. Do you see what I'm getting at? Because you're talking about stuff, I don't know this.
We have that.
Bob has done some of that for
Yeah,
some of
we
the
have
older
that for
trails.
all the trails, the length of
Where
the
does it
trail.
live?
It's on the website.
Okay, so they don't go there. I'm talking about a marketing piece for our trails.
You want little signs like at a trailhead.
No, this is more like a mailer or something that goes in, some kind of marketing piece.
Okay.
That says, these are our trails, and what I can.
Take advantage of them.
Yeah, come walk on the trail, because I was over at what we're calling Marsh Meadows the other day. There was one guy and the crew that was mowing. There was nobody there, so I don't think that they get utilized. It's not like we're gonna have Halloween at the trails, right? It's not gonna be like 400 people show up one day. I'm just saying some way that we.
On a haunted trail?
Oh, that would be cool. I have an idea of where that might be, actually. But just some kind of marketing piece to say, you can go here and do a 3 mile. You can go here and do a 1 mile, whatever. And this connects with that, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm talking a lot, but.
If we think that that's a good idea, then why don't we put that on our next agenda and start trying to help map it out, and we can
Yeah.
put it and get some, at least have the information, and then we can give it to Austin and say, take it to our marketing people, put it together.
I made a map for Marvin Day. I made a map, I took it off of the website, and I made it a little bit bigger and clearer, that these are our existing trails, and we're right here in the park, and so that's where these are, and people would go, oh, I live right there, that one's near me. They started engaging with it because I put it in their face. And I put the distances on all of those, and I got a lot of positive feedback about that, and I probably handed out 50 of them.
This is something that we definitely can work on. We're going to have a lot of opportunities coming up because of the GEO bond.
Yep.
We're going to be working with a marketing firm that's going to be working on a lot of graphical updates on
Yeah.
our future trails and everything.
Yeah.
And even once we finish this project, I'm already looking into getting them to make us almost like an amusement park style pamphlet for the park. So you can have
Perfect.
an actual
Yep.
attractive looking park map, and we could do the same thing for trails and
Yeah.
greenways and have that running.
Marketing group.
It's Granite Sky Creative Group. It's Granite Sky Creative Group. They're the ones that did our website. Remember, Bob, you were on the committee?
Yep.
You guys remember Jared?
Yeah. No, so just be thinking about how we get this info. I love what's on the website. It's fine, but I don't think anybody engages with it. So we got to get it in front of them.
Oh, we're going to be doing a lot of that.
Good.
Well, and it's almost like you have a printable PDF.
Yes.
Right? Where it can reside on the website, it can be emailed or put in
And that's the goal.
newsletters. And the first is just a page of everything, and then you can electronically drill down, or the subsequent pages are each individual
Yeah.
section, kind of better defined.
And I love having it on the website because we can update it. You get a new connector, you put it on there immediately. You don't have to send something else out. And so I did direct everybody to that URL, but.
The only thing is, what we currently have, it is not mobile device friendly, and that's
No.
that's the only bad thing about it.
And it needs to be, because that's what they're gonna have in their little hand. Yep, good point. Yeah, exactly, because where am I?
But that's just my goal for the future.
No,
going
that's
on.
perfect. I just think we should publicize that, it sounds wonderful, and I wanna go out for a walk now, but,
You guys are going to be really impressed for the GeoBond stuff, because we're going to have all sorts of new assets for the website and mini site, but we'll get into that.
cool, good.
Anything more on trails and greenways? Okay. Moving on to unfinished business, discussion of Go Bond trail projects.
Okay, so we talked about this, I brought this to you guys last time, and you said, hey, we're good with everything that you guys have talked about, except for the chimneys, the trail, the existing trail that probably is in disrepair that runs behind it, and then the easement to come up to it. So the dark blue and then C13. So I brought it back to council to talk to them about it. We are still in agreement that we are not going to add that to the GO bond, mostly because the chimneys are not in Marvin. I am not going to ask Marvin residents to pay for a trail that helps residents that are not in Marvin. We would love to have the chimneys come in Marvin. We keep inviting them. We're going to keep inviting them. And that will be our very first project, once they do come in, that we will get that taken care of. So we will have the nice trail in front of the chimneys that they'll be able to utilize to traverse throughout, you know, the village. But the dark blue and the C13, we're going to wait until they are residents, and then we will be able to feel a lot better about spending Marvin taxpayer dollars on a neighborhood. So this is what we've landed on. We've got the dollar amounts in that we have put. I think that we are well overestimating what it is going to cost. There was the painted turtle in the spreadsheet that was roughly around $300,000. It cost us under $50,000. So I think that we are well overestimating what these costs are going to be. We will not know until we get, until we get the bond and it's been awarded to us and we go out for bid. So we're not going to know final numbers, what things are actually going to cost until it gets approved. Right now, it is looking at, and we're going to do it in, probably we're going to issue it in probably 2 different tranches. And it may be that the second tranche is later than we think, or it may not be as much as we think, because we're hoping that we get prices at economies of scale, where if we're doing big projects, we're getting much cheaper cost. And if we are taking over some of these roads, then we are not having to pay for easements, because we will put these sidewalks in right-of-ways. So there's going to be some cost savings there as well. But what we're looking at for the roads and the trails, and so the roads are going to consist of the rest of the neighborhood roads that are within Marvin that are not currently owned by Marvin, that are currently public roads. They will be the connector roads of Newtown Road from this roundabout to the state line, Marvin Road from the county line to the future roundabout, Waxhaw Marvin Road from the roundabout down to the village limits past Providence Estates and Valhalla.
That's near Gray Byram and Viking Drive.
That one. Marvin School Road. And that's it.
Bonds Grove?
I don't remember if Bonds Grove's on there or not.
I think it is, but
I know the future roundabout at Bonds Grove Church Road is on there. I don't remember if Bonds Grove's on there or not, because there's a lot of not in Marvin on that road.
A lot of that in Waxhaw Marvin too.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's what the roads consist of. Then you've got the future roundabout down at Waxhaw Marvin, which is costing a lot of money down the road. And we know those numbers are fixed numbers. And then trails are all the ones that we have highlighted. So you've got C1, C5, the green dot that will finish the actual loop. You've got S1 that goes all the way down to the village limits at, what is it, Viking Drive?
Viking Drive right near Gray Byram.
And Gray Byram. You've got C15, and you've got C20A, C20B, and then you've got C17, which C17, council feels like the amount of money that DOT is asking us for C17 is a fixed number that we have a contract for, and will be significantly less than what we have budgeted for that, from what because it's going to be a sidewalk there. But that's what that one GO bond will include. Did I miss anything? No. I think I got and wayfinding signs, and adding the street blade differentiators in all the neighborhoods that we did with wayfinding and branding, which is not a new blade. It will just be
It's an attachment. from
an
the
attachment, like, yeah. I think that's everything in there.
Yeah, you hit most everything. The wayfinding signs are broken up in like at least 4 different phases right now.
Yeah.
And we overestimated costs there, so.
We overestimated costs on everything, so we feel like we are well overestimating, and then that way, what we get, we can either pay off the loan quicker, or we can cut whatever the tax rate is.
You also can use the funds for other projects in the same sort of scope, so.
Yes, so if then, say the chimneys come in and they say, hey, we're ready, then if we have money from the GO bond, we can go ahead and do their trails as well. So the first issuance is looking like it's gonna be about 4.5 cents for the first one. So then a few years later, we will do an additional, what it's looking like is an additional 3 cents. So the most it would go up would be 7.5 cents. But I don't think that it will be that much. I think we're either gonna be able to pay it off a lot quicker than the 20 years. And right now, the interest rates are a lot higher, and we're not gonna be able to actually issue or get the funds until the bond has been approved. And so we're hoping that the interest rates go down, but right now, we're looking at it at a 5% interest rate. So those are the current numbers that we're looking at.
And the tax rate is after it peaks, will start going down.
And yes, it will start going down it won't stay that way for the entire amount of the bond, which was 20 years.
And you've got, and then you have the separate question on the park.
And then we have a separate question on there for parks, which will be mostly for this over here. And I think it was about 3.5 million.
2.25 cents, I believe.
Yes, for 2.25 cents. So, and then but again, we're gonna be issuing education but these are the numbers that we've pretty much landed on. Again, if I am looking out what the cost of the trail at Painted Turtle was, that the estimate that the master plan, which is where we were pulling all of those numbers, theirs was $300,000. It ended up being less than $50,000. So I am hoping, and again, we are not gonna have to spend a lot of money on easements, because we're gonna if we own the roads, we can put it in the right of way, and we're not having to give whoever extra money for easements. We may have to do some, but it's not gonna be near as much as we were concerned with earlier.
Did Painted Turtle deal at all with state DOT?
No.
That's probably, at least from our experience, that's probably the biggest difference in being able to keep the savings. It seems anytime we get involved in the state DOT within.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If we're taking over the roads, we're not gonna have to, because every single trail that we're gonna do, we're gonna own.
Your biggest expense then would be,
Well, except for Newtown. Newtown down, that'll be our biggest expense.
Yeah.
But that's a big dollar there.
I may have missed this earlier, Tyler or Kim. The connector between C1, C2, between Amber Meadows and Tullamore, when's that gonna be started?
So C4, which should be, is that what you're asking about, phase 4?
Yes, the connector for Amber Meadows and Tullamore. The loop.
So that's C4. So Tyler just said earlier, he said that should be starting is like
Next week, like very soon.
soon. Like it's all been approved. We're just waiting for the trail builder to get out there and build it.
That's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah.
and then you have a future connector at some point.
And
from
that
there.
C1 is what we're gonna build. That C1 will connect from the Tullamore Amber Meadows Trail over to the Andes. And again, we're gonna try to get, we're still working with that HOA over there to get some land for some open space. That's it? Any questions?
I did have a quick question.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is just related. Is there any update on the voluntary annexations into Marvin?
I mean, we're still working on it. I mean, it is a rough go because staff doesn't have a lot of time to do it. I mean, we've gone out, I mean, we did a huge marketing campaign 3 years ago trying to get all these donut holes closed up. I do know that the forced annexation expires next year.
So I can speak on this a little bit. As far as voluntary goes, we're talking with the Chimneys right now. I'm talking with Sedgefield, who they have one of their streets are in Marvin, but the rest of them are not. As far as the involuntary route goes, we will have the opportunity to start pursuing that again summer of next year, but the process for setting that up takes a year in itself, and then the people getting annexed have to vote on it, and there's a whole other public education campaign. It's complicated. Annexation law is complicated. We're trying, I refer to annexation as the white whale of government. It's like, to give you a Moby Dick metaphor, but we're trying. It's hard, because at the end of the day, you're relying on people to essentially complete a form and pay more taxes. So we're working on it, though.
I know in the past, the way the rules were, and I haven't looked at that in a while, but in the past, the way that the rules were is that if you did involuntary annexation, sometimes it would make statutory annexations more difficult because of the specific requirements that were laid out. Is that still the case in general with?
The only limitation I'm aware of is if you start doing involuntary annexations and you're creating satellites. So let's say that the village annexed. Let's say that we annexed.
Like there's a
Say
percent,
Longview.
there's a
Just say
percentage.
Longview, because it's not touching anything.
Yeah,
We
let-
annex Longview.
Which that's not even our annexation area, but let's say we annex Longview. There is a statutory limitation on how large your satellites can be. And you can essentially use up your allocation, and if you want to go for more, the state legislature has to authorize more. As far as if we were to, forcibly annex Hunter Oaks, and that went through completely fine, that's not going to put any prohibition on us doing anything else. If you try to do a forced annexation and it fails, you can't annex the same area for so many years. There's a lot of.
So some of those rules have changed though, because it used to have to, how much of the contiguous border had to be a certain percentage and things like that.
A lot of it has changed and been refined. A lot of it changed around 2010 to 2012.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have stayed the same. In short, it's complicated, and whatever we decide to do, if we end up going down the involuntary route in the future, will be a long effort that involves marketing and a lot of legal advice.
Sure.
I don't have any other good answers for that question.
There's not
It's a-
really
Sorry.
good answer.
There's no good answers. I mean, if we want to start a committee that goes and tries to start meeting with these HOAs and doing that, I mean, because right now it's staff doing it. I mean, I've talked to people in the Chimneys. Some people think it's great and they're all for it. Other people are like, why would we do that? I mean, again, it's a whole education piece to it. So, I mean, if we want to start a committee that tries to go out and educate some of these neighborhoods and show the benefit of being in Marvin, I mean, I'm all for that. I just don't, it's really when staff has time. And I mean, and council has said, this is kind of the pecking order that we'd like to kind of see come in, because we think it would make sense, and we would get, a decent return on having them come in. Because again, we're then gonna have to maintain roads, like if they're in Marvin, like there's gonna be costs that go out. So whatever's going out, we wanna make sure that we're getting back in from a revenue perspective.
Makes sense.
I know, it's like not a good answer.
It's a
So
good
like,
question.
No, and I've always, because I've watched this whole annexation drama play out since we've lived here, but just like communities like Hunter Oaks and Somerset, they're huge communities. So obviously, it's great if we could get them annexed in, but at the same time, they're huge neighborhoods, and if you take their roads over, is it worth it? Even with Providence Downs, I mean,
Right.
that's another huge neighborhood.
Well, we wouldn't have to worry about Providence Downs because they have gates. So you
That's
have
true.
gates, they're your
responsible for
roads.
their
Don't have to worry about them
Correct.
then.
That's exactly right.
Correct.
So, I mean, yes, and I mean, we would love to have Providence down south. We'd love to have Gates of Ainsley. We'd love to have Ladera. Like, we would love to have these neighborhoods come in because it makes sense. They are right here. They're going to be getting all of the benefits of what Marvin is doing without having to pay the taxes of it. And we would love to have these communities come in. I mean, I know that years ago, council did not want Chimneys to come in, they didn't want Hunter Oaks to come in, they didn't want Somerset to come in, because they would have been huge voting blocks, and they were worried about retaining their seats. I don't care about that. If you guys want to come in, I mean, I'm all for that, but it goes back to financials. Does it make financial sense? And some of those roads, those neighborhood roads, are not up to what Marvin's standards would be. And in order for us to take them over, we have a road acceptance policy. They would have to get their roads up to Marvin standards. So I mean, there's definitely a lot of things to look at. You know, the Chimneys is newer, so their roads are probably in pretty good shape. So I mean, you know, it's financial, but I mean, listen, I'm like, the more the merrier. You guys want to be part of Marvin? Let's go. I'm in. I don't care about that stuff. Like,
I'm just wondering if a campaign, because we're moving forward with a lot of projects that we're funding that are benefiting all these communities, and they're not paying the taxes for it. So they sit back and say, well, why would I want to pay extra taxes? You guys are going to do it anyway. So how do we, you know, dangle a carrot and say, hey, if you want this roundabout done sooner, then you better help us out. Financially, the rest of us can't support this project unless you pay your portion.
yeah.
Your residents use it every day.
We've had that conversation of what kind of carrots can we dangle, and legally not very many.
Essentially, we can't bind a future council to make a decision. It's just not legal. Like, we can't make a decision today that says, okay, if this neighborhood comes in 5 years, we're gonna build a roundabout there, and it's gonna be a contract that we agree to. We can't bind a future council.
And Joe has talked to, Mr. Mayor has talked to some of our state reps and talked about doing forced annexation, where if we're like, okay, we're gonna forcibly, and I'm using Longview because it's not in our annexation, and so I don't want all these people getting all Twitter pated, but I'm gonna use Longview. So we're gonna forcibly annex Longview in. Well, you're not gonna pay Marvin taxes until you sell your house. And once you sell your house, whoever's coming in, then they're gonna then start picking up the tab for it. So there are nice incentives that the state is looking at, because they know that this is ridiculous. Like, what has happened is ridiculous. And you know, tying municipalities' hands where you've got a neighborhood literally right across the street that is benefiting from what the village is doing, you know, they know it's silly. So they are working on some things. So it's not that nobody's looking at it and nobody's, you know, trying to come up with some solutions. It's all about being creative. But I mean, we did a campaign. I mean, we sent it out to, I don't know, 20 neighborhoods.
There were
And-
2,000 letters, I believe.
Yeah, and I mean, it went out and it fell on absolute deaf ears. So I think it's gonna have to be a very targeted, which is what we decided, which is why we went to the Chimneys first. But I think it's gonna take more than just staff doing it. I mean, it's gonna have to be people like you who see the benefit of coming in and being able to then explain it and have the conversation and educate the community on why this would be good. I mean, if we take over Waxhaw Marvin Road, everybody down Waxhaw Marvin Road is gonna benefit from that aren't in Marvin, and because we're gonna get the trucks off of it. Like, we're not gonna let 18-wheelers be rolling through there, and, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of things that the village can then do in order to make the road safer and to make it a pain for people to cut through here. I mean, Austin got something on Facebook that some guy was complaining about the roundabout and why we did 2 here, and I told Austin, I said, tell him if he does not like what we're doing in Marvin to feel free not to use it as a cut through. He doesn't, he's like, oh, it's gonna take me longer to get, don't use Marvin as a cut through then. And that's what we're trying to do, is make it inconvenient for people to cut through Marvin. But if you want to start a committee, I'd be down for that. I'll volunteer you for that. You want to do that?
The geo bond marketing is going to be a great test case for whatever we want to market for in the future.
It will
If we
be.
want to target a future neighborhood.
It will be.
So.
I agree with that.
Okay. The next
Wait, Bob,
item.
did you just volunteer for that too? Did you want to be on that
No,
committee?
just
I thought
told
I
her
heard
she
you
was
say you
gonna
wanted to
do
be
a
on.
job. That's an excuse. I'm not on mic. Who cares? Who cares?
The next item is Did we already discuss National Night Out? Yeah, so discussion of National Night Out, I think we covered that, a lot of that on the update on event planning, but anything else?
Just if you are available to help, probably. What I would have you guys kind of doing is just managing the food. You'd be like a couple people cooking, a couple people working the tables. We'll have tables lined up along the barn, and then maybe people just kind of roaming, greeting, having a
What
good time.
time do you want us there?
Ideally, it would be maybe a little before 5 o'clock.
Okay.
By 5 o'clock.
4:30.
4:30 would be fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Next item is new business. Number 1, discussion of 2023 trick or treat in the park.
AKA the invasion.
That's you, Tyler.
Yeah, I'm aware. So, yeah, so that Friday, what we'll do, I haven't seen this event yet here. I don't have a ton of notes on how it went last year. I know it was humongous. That's all I've heard about it.
I could talk on it for just a second.
Can you?
Yeah, so I didn't physically attend the event last year. It was the one event I didn't have to come to. But from everything I know, it was insane. Every square inch of the park was parked on. We ran out of vehicles. It was the whole reason that we had this long discussion over who do we want to target for future events, because it was a big strain on staff and just our resources at the park. The event itself was great. We had a ton of great photos to use for future marketing for our events. But we did target Greater Union County, and I guarantee we had.
And they showed up.
And I guarantee we had people from Charlotte and just any community near here we had people from.
I think partly it was because it was the Friday, right? It was the Friday before Halloween was the next day, right? So a lot of things were going on over the weekend, and there wasn't a lot going on that Friday, and so everybody said,
I believe Waxhaw had an event the very next day.
yeah, and so they showed up at our place for some pre-candy.
As far as what was done at the event, the movie was well received. I don't even remember what movie we watched. It might have been Hocus Pocus. I don't know.
I think you're right.
The movie was well received. Lots of great photos with kids in costumes.
I had 3 vendors that, I guess that's what 3 booths set up. We literally had lines, 50 people deep at every single one for a piece of, Snickers. I'm not joking. And we ran out of candy 50 pounds in. I mean, seriously, we bought a ton, maybe literally, and then park staff brought us some more. And it was just gone. We were done in an hour. We were through all the candy. And I thought, we're going to be taking all this home.
You
Oh,
also
no.
had massive traffic issues on Newtown Road.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well,
And unhappy people there.
and
Most of
and
the
I,
people that attended were not Marvin residents.
If we were, I guess I know I'm the lone voice on this. I think we ought to approach our activities as the Marvin area. We keep talking about wanting to annex, but yet we don't want anybody to come that's outside of Marvin, based on what I'm hearing. And I want to attend events that other people attend. I want to be there when it's exciting and other people are enjoying it. And I don't want to go to an event where, unfortunately we had some great musicians and 54 people showed up. I mean, that's pathetic. And I don't want to be there. If that's my experience. I want to be there with a bunch of people that, I can talk to and enjoy the music with and sing along with, God forbid. But that's what you want. And how you balance it and how you manage it, that's a whole different discussion. But it can be managed, I think. But I think first and foremost, we want to be successful. And I think success is attendance. And just like Christina said, we were out there giving candy out. I mean, it was terrific, but when Judy and I left, man, they had traffic backed up out on the Newtown. I mean, it was incredible. And Judy and I were going, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Because, our parking lot just doesn't accommodate a whole lot of people. But that, to me, is not a problem. That's an opportunity to figure it out, to make that a big event and a fun event people look forward to annually and build on.
Well, it sort of goes back to the idea of having shuttles. Okay, so
Right.
one of the things that the Indian Trail guy said, we had shuttles, we had all the shuttles that we could get, and we had people standing in line and they complained about it. I'd rather people complain about it was too busy than to complain
Exactly.
about, where's everybody? It's just
Exactly.
crickets.
Oh,
Yeah, if
absolutely.
you have to pick one of those
Oh,
complaints.
yeah.
So what do you think, so what's the answer this year? Because if we broadcast it out, we're gonna run into the same exact thing that we ran into before. And if we're okay with that, and park staff is okay with handling it, and they know that we're gonna have this many cars allowed, and people are just gonna be stopped on Newtown Road, and we're gonna have to wait, and everybody's okay with that, and they go into it with open eyes, then that's what we do. There's no way we're gonna be able to do shuttles from the high school, because it's gonna be a Friday night. They're not gonna, probably there's gonna be a football game. So we're not gonna be able to do shuttles from there. Now, we could maybe do shuttles from the elementary school, shuttles from here. I don't know that that's gonna do a lot, because there's limited parking at the elementary school. Or do we try to rein it in a little bit?
Well, I think a lot of it is who is doing the broadcasting. I would say, yeah, we as Marvin definitely want to broadcast it out. I think where we ran into trouble last year is because Union County was specifically sponsoring the movie, and it was part of their movie series. They're the one that broadcasted to an email list and everything that was far beyond anything that we did.
But Marvin broadcast it to Marvin for Marvin Day. And not a lot of people showed up. So we can either go that route again, leave off Union County, people can just do word of mouth, and we see how it goes. But I feel like we're gonna run into the same exact thing that we ran into before, is that not that many people show up. So I think we've either gotta get on board and be ready to deal with it and handle it, or we're just gonna continue to just kind of be small.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the concern I've got, if you continue to be small, you will continue to get smaller.
Wise
And-
words.
And that's not acceptable.
So are we,
My-
so
My opinion is, and, you know, for.
be loud about it?
Be loud, yeah, and be successful and manage to it. Like I said, it's not a problem, it's an opportunity. The problem is having nobody come.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right, and if we know that it is gonna be wild and crazy, then we prepare for it, and we're ready for it, and staff's ready for it, and maybe we get a couple additional sheriffs, they can handle traffic on Newtown Road, I mean,
Well, is there a way to do like a vehicle reservation? Like a lot of events that are free, even our Marsh events, you have a reservation, so they know how many people to expect. And that way we can know, okay, we're gonna have 300 cars showing up. Can we accommodate that? Or is there a cutoff where we say no more? Because I know people get very angry, and it was really chaotic. Like when I left, thankfully whoever dropped us off, it was chaos, and people were angry because traffic was backed up and down Newtown Road. There was no parking left. There was, I'm sure that there was some property damage that occurred too, because people were parking wherever they could.
right, so if we do a reservation system, you're still gonna have people that show up that don't have a reservation, so they're gonna be mad.
Right, but you can't turn them away and say, hey, we're out of parking. If you can find some way to carpool with someone that has a reservation, you're welcome to come, or walk, or figure out a way to walk, or, right, I don't know.
But then people are just gonna be parked willy-nilly on the side. I mean, I'm willing to try that. I mean, we can do a reservation system, we can do a sign-up genus, and then you have to print out your,
Yes.
Are you open to shuttles, Kim?
I'm fine with doing a shuttle. I just don't know where the shuttles are gonna come from.
I just wonder, well, I don't either, but I was just curious.
Meaning, like, where are you gonna park?
Well, I was thinking the elementary school.
I just don't think there's enough
Well,
room.
or I know it was a much broader period of time, but do we have an understanding of what shuttles would cost? Because we're talking about, this isn't really a sponsored event other than the people bringing the candy, so,
Right.
you're kind of talking about a whole different thing
I'm
there.
not sure, as a Marvin resident, I'm not comfortable broadcasting it out to the whole county and then us paying for the shuttles. So that's why I think a vehicle reservation, hey, you gotta have that ticket before you come in to park in the park. That way, everybody can have an enjoyable time, because they know
So
they're
then
not
we
gonna
need to
be
figure
overwhelmed.
out comfortably how many cars we can put at the park, Matt.
One word of caution, I would be careful not to compare this event to Marvin Day, just because they're dramatically different events. Marvin Day was all day. It involved, for having kids there for the majority of the day, it involved people coming and leaving and coming back. This is a much more condensed event that's specifically targeted towards children on a night where there's nothing else going on. So I think personally, you will have good turnout from Marvin on that night, just because there's no other events that I'm aware of that's going on around us.
And I think we have in the past, prior to last year, because we've done that before. And it was a movie night, and it was, maybe 50 or 100 people that brought their kids, so it might have been.
Which I don't think, if we're looking at it as is it a success or not, I don't think 50 or 100 people at a movie night, trick or treat night, is very successful for Marvin. And I think that's Bob's point. Like,
Yeah.
if we're gonna do it, let's do it. Like, let's figure out how to do it, and we'll manage the parking, and if people show up and they don't have a reservation, then there was a reservation system online, unfortunately, you're gonna have to do that. We will not let Evan work the gate, because he's too nice about it, and he'll stand there and talk to him for 5 minutes.
You would think he'd be meaner. He went to the
Yeah.
academy
But
for a
being
while.
very
He was very nice, so.
Here, that is, to your point, though, if you do that, there will be people that registered that don't show up.
Correct.
Absolutely. 50% of them won't show up. That's been my experience with things like that. The second thing is, when they do show up and they've got their ticket or they don't, you have to have a process for that. And you got to be ready to say, nope, you got to go home, you don't have a ticket. And they are going to argue, and
Or you have to have a way to look them up on the spot.
yeah, absolutely. So it is not as simple as go to Eventbrite or Sign Up Genius or whatever. You got to then control it. Yeah, so,
And whatever number of spots we have,
Probably need
there's
it.
going to be 20 or 30 of them that are the people supporting the event,
yeah.
So it limits that number of cars
And
that
if you
we
have
can
50% that don't show up, so then you've got to, take into consideration, so if we have, let's just say we have 100 spots, so we'll allow for 150 reservations, because some people won't show up, some people leave early, whatever.
I mean, there's a lot more complexity to it when you do that, and you may end up with not many people showing up, because, 300 people signed up, and that was where our cutoff, let's just say that's where our cutoff was. And then, they don't show up. And then there's a line of people that don't have it. I mean, it's just a lot of
So I would say
trouble.
these are good things. You guys can take it back. You guys talk about it amongst staff, see what you guys think. These are our ideas, and then next meeting, you can bring it back to us and let us know what you guys were thinking, and then how we can help
Yeah.
manage that process.
And count the spaces. I mean, how many cars can we get in there?
I think we've come up with a number in the past.
But did we have that back parking lot near the shed? Because that's where I parked at Marvin Day.
That's usually what we use for staff and
I
volunteers.
know, but it's a huge, I mean, there's, well, maybe not.
That'd just be a discussion that we'd have to have, they'd have to have internally
Getting cars
about.
back there while everybody else
True.
is partying up front.
Yep. But that's true of that back parking lot too, where the food trucks were at Marvin Day. Yeah. And then the farther back one than that.
Regarding the number of vehicles you could fit in there, I don't know that number. I'm sure it's written down somewhere.
We
or
need to figure that
documented
out.
somewhere,
That's what
but
I'm
I'm not sure of that.
All right, so you guys are good? Okay.
Okay, next is discussion of the 2023 tree lighting and Santa event to be determined, Saturday, December 9th.
The TBD Santa is because we've had the discussion previously over, do we want to do a Santa parade again? The turnout has not been great, was not great last year. It was a little chilly. It was mostly people trying to run from their homes to outside to look at Santa for a brief moment, but you had a couple crowds in a couple neighborhoods gathered in one location, but worth
The
doing.
parade thing, I think, was a COVID thing
Yeah.
that we really started, that I think the idea now is to draw them to the event at the park, and that, for many years, has been probably our most successful event, even just broadcasting to the Marvin residents and the schools that serve Marvin, so broader than just Marvin residents, but all the donut holes and everything like that.
That's definitely an event that's not been made to have the kind of turnout we had at Trick or Treat last year.
Correct.
We will run out of hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah, based on our electricity issues.
So I think that one, and we've had the good response pretty much every year, that we've done that one. So that one, from a marketing perspective, I think we get through the schools and the regular communications. That one generally is pretty well attended.
Tyler,
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
We're not talking about it today, but just informationally for everybody on the committee, we're going to do the Friendship Tree again this year, and on August the 10th, Tyler and I have a meeting with Christina Amos, and I've invited John Tompkins, who's with the Christmas Bureau of Union County, to be there. So just to let you know, that's going to be part and parcel of something this year, but we're not addressing it today.
Are you going to do the friendship tree yet? Is there going to be an opportunity for people to turn in their gifts?
Yes.
Possibly? Oh,
But not at the
Not
tree
at the
lighting.
event.
It's
Okay,
too
I was
late,
just
right?
curious.
Yeah,
that
it's
too
too
late?
late.
That'll be
Well,
too late.
That's too late. December the
late.
10th is cut off.
And frankly, if you had seen a number of what we had to use to get. the
Nobody
gifts
could
out
get
of
in
it.
the barn.
No, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we
Nobody could get
used
in the barn.
Joe's giant
So
trailer.
it's
And our goal
too
is
late.
80 children this year.
We
so
did 60 last year.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
So it's gonna be
So
2 trips.
the community really got behind it. But anyway, I want to let everybody know that we are going to do year 2.
And Bob, I'll be at that meeting too.
Okay, good, because you're important. I didn't mean that facetiously either. You are.
As far as entertainment for that event, the last couple of years, we've had the choirs, is that, typically, I usually use the phone just to play Christmas music, and then we have, some groups. I think there was a church group that came and sang. Is that what we're kind of looking for again? Reach out to the choir, the band, things like that, or are there thoughts on different types of entertainment? The nice thing about involving the choirs and stuff like that is it brings parents and family and stuff like that in as well, from an attendance perspective. But any thoughts beyond some of those traditional things that, assuming we want to do those traditional?
No, I think the Christmas, like the lighting of the tree is lovely, and I think the events are very seamless at this point, and I think kind of continuing down the road that we've been doing is really good. Has it been you that, John, that has been doing the choir or whoever we've talked to?
I've usually interacted with the choir because when we first started it, my daughter was in it. So, but I do have contacts with the new woman that took over last year, and they were very happy and would love to do it again. The band, I don't think we had last year because we had some issues with communication. Their leadership was in flux.
yeah.
So I'm assuming that'll be worked out this year, but they were very good.
And see if Joe can, I'll bring it up tonight and see if Joe can talk to the band. Yeah, no, I'll do it in PR&G update tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, because I would like to, whoever we are having come in, I would like to just remind them that this is a fun event for the community. This is not a concert where people need to
Be silent.
and stand and be silent, and, there's other things going on in the barn, and just a reminder to put that out to the parents, because we had a couple parents.
Some parents were like,
Yeah, like-
shush, and, yeah.
I'm like, listen, like, we're not, this is not a concert.
There's kids
Like,
running
there's other-
around, yeah.
There's other things going on
You're
in the
providing
barn.
ambiance, this isn't a performance.
Correct. So
Yeah.
if we can just, whoever we were talking to, just remind them that this is a fun community event, and this is not we're sitting in an auditorium listening to a
Yeah.
graded performance.
I was a very jolly elf last year and I got shushed.
Yeah. When parents start shushing the elves, it gets a little silly to me.
embarrassing.
So, but with that being said, do we want to have some sort of Santa event? We had talked about maybe doing a breakfast or a brunch with Santa. Do we want to add that to the day? What's everybody's thoughts? I think we dropped the parade because
I concur that we dropped the parade.
I mean, I drove
Yeah.
Santa last year and it was not well attended. And some of the feedback that Austin got on Facebook was, well, why didn't you tell us he was coming? And like, what? I don't know. I mean, you know, there's a fire truck, there's sirens. Like, I don't know how else you don't know.
We're not Amazon.
He's coming, right? So,
I know years ago, Kim, like back when my son was little, we went, and there used to be the Santa was in the barn. You could do pictures, sit on his lap, cookies and milk. They
yeah, I
got
mean,
cocoa.
he did that last year.
Kids, I mean, who would want nothing more than like a free opportunity to go sit in Santa's lap? I mean,
So
and
do we
get your
just want
picture.
Santa to come earlier and say pictures from 3 to 4:30? I don't know. I mean, because
I think
he's
it would be
there.
easier to combine it with the event we're already having
Yes.
rather than having them separately.
Cookies with Santa, not eggs and
Okay.
bacon and stuff with
Okay.
Santa.
So do we want to start it maybe, because it was what, 4:30 to 6:30, and we did the tree lighting around 5:45?
Well, we always seem
We
to
always
move
seem
the
to do it
tree lighting
earlier.
earlier.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Everybody's kind of like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like,
We had
what's
weather
happening?
issues too the last few years that kind of bumped it forward, like storms for some reason.
Right, and I think
That was
keeping
last
it to
year.
like 2 to 2.5 hours, and, because it gets dark at like 5:45.
Yeah.
So families are, at 4:30 to 6:30, I think is perfect. That way it gives you
So
adequate.
that's
And-
what
and-
it's
and
all-
Santa- Santa was going on while the performances were
Yes.
happening, and
Yes.
we never had it where there weren't enough, there were kids that didn't get to Santa.
Correct.
Because he's doing it throughout those 2 hours.
So maybe we really advertise it, come get your picture with Santa, Santa will be there.
Yeah.
Like, we don't necessarily, I don't think we need to do the parade again. Like,
No.
it
No.
it was,
Agreed.
it was not well attended, and it was a lot of effort and work, and, but I think having him there and really advertising that portion of it, not just the tree lighting portion of it, like, come get your Santa pictures, you don't have to stand in line at the mall, like, you know.
And we've done like the 4 to 6 timeframe. The question is, you know, if you start to broaden that out, we talk about Marvin Day things where kids lose interest, you know. The question is, you know, is it 4 to 6? Is it 4:30 to 6? You know, I guess part of that depends on how many people we have to entertain, because as long as people are, you know, the choir group is going, the band is going, we have another, you know, the church guys are singing some songs, you know. But it's once that stops and people are waiting for the
Yeah.
tree lighting that people start leaving, you know, before.
We always end up moving up the tree lighting, always. I mean,
Well, isn't it nicer to see the people singing with the tree lit?
yes, it is.
So why don't we start with the tree
I
lighting?
think that's, yeah, that's,
Yeah, I think
We're-
we
I-
have a tree
Is
lighting,
it dark
and
enough, though, at that point?
doesn't matter.
You
Yeah.
can still see the lights. with-
Oh, well,
Inside the
we're
barn?
doing it inside the barn. Yeah, I'm thinking
yeah.
back to when we
Yeah,
did it
yeah.
outside
I
the
agree
barn.
with Christina, well, I
Yeah.
just have the tree.
Kick off with the tree lighting, then.
And
have the
then people will
performance,
show
and
up.
then Santa.
And then people will show up because for some reason they show up for a tree lighting. I don't understand
We're
that.
at 4:30 to 6:30, the tree lighting's at 4:45. Santa's gonna be taking pictures from 4:30 to 6:30, and then you can say however long you want to.
Can we have Santa like arrive boldly? I don't know what that means. Can we have a drone drop him off? No, I
I
can't.
mean, we might be able to get like the fire truck maybe, this fire station, have them park here and have
Yeah.
a fire truck bring them maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So like light the tree, I mean, I'm thinking dramatics here. Light the tree and then
Santa
right up, then
arrives at
Santa
5.
is like barreling down the road with his sirens and all that going and get them all worked up, those little kids.
I mean, I honestly, like, I mean, I don't really, it doesn't matter to me how we do it, I'm good
I
with
just think we need some more pizzazz.
some more showmanship to it.
Show, yeah, the
Okay.
show,
Yeah,
the
I'm
show.
good with that.
Yeah, I don't think we need to make it longer. I
Yeah,
think if
we need to
just
make it showy.
I think if we just keep it all condensed and have lots going on, it
Yes.
feels.
And plenty of
Energetic.
electricity for our hot items.
Yeah, it hasn't gone out, didn't go out last year, did it?
Yeah, did the hot chocolate business not happen like 5 times last year? I mean, we had to
We,
keep,
we figured it out better with which outlets to
yeah,
use.
but we still had some, yeah, it wasn't as bad as the year before.
I mean, the 1 year was terrible.
Yeah.
We did pretty good last year.
That's what I
It was
thought.
warm.
Okay, so we've now given you some more suggestions, Tyler, so you can go start working on that and come back to us and we'll give you some more, I'm
Show.
sure.
We want show, baby, show.
Okay.
Okay. Next on the item is number 3, discuss and consider fall athletic programming using Marvin Elementary School's multipurpose field.
Yes, so I've been in contact with Dr. Spencer at the elementary school. They have a rectangular multipurpose field over there. Right now, kind of been suggesting maybe like a fall soccer.
The fenced-in one near the playground?
Yeah. Then looking into trying to do fall soccer, mainly trying to get exclusive nights to the field, kind of something long-term where we have, because we have to go to Union County Schools, rent it, and do all that, but we kind of want some exclusivity so we can make sure we have it on, say, like a Monday, Wednesday evening, or something of that nature, so we could run a small league. Fall problem we'll run into is no lights at the field. So if we did an evening program starting about 5 o'clock, it'd be short-lived.
Over at
Yeah.
5:45.
Yeah, it'd be short. But we're in talks with that. I've been in a little back and forth communication with Milan.
Yep.
Milan.
Yep, at Marvin Creek.
Yeah, they have a multipurpose field, and we haven't gotten to the thick of really talking about what that would take. But we've kind of run that idea about having that field. We haven't had a good conversation about it yet. But right now, focusing on the school, they use an app. I'll have to apply through an app for a Facilitron app, and just kind of see. They have a lot of long-standing rentals over there, like people who have what we want already. So not sure what kind of issue we're going to run into. It's an ongoing conversation. I talked to him this morning before we had this meeting. Just working out the little details of it. But right now, thinking about soccer in the fall, maybe fall t-ball or move t-ball to the spring. Get something to get an athletic program on a rectangular field.
Dumb question, kids? We're talking about kids.
Yeah, so youth, and even starting off, a lot of people I see kind of in like Mecklenburg County and places like that are doing like micro sport, like you open up and do like, say we did soccer for letting 4-year-olds start.
Yeah, really entry-level type
Really
stuff.
little something that maybe you don't necessarily have to pay referees to come to, something you can kind of just, it's kind of ran while you're there, self-sustaining, and it's a good way. Your 4-year-old, you play in Marvin for Marvin Parks and Rec, and then when you're 6 and 7, you're like, oh, I wish Marvin had soccer, so then you're kind of just in it. And
But it's also fun for the rest of us to go watch.
yeah, it's great to watch little kids.
4-year-olds, yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
fun.
there's,
Drop the ball and all the kids fall down.
or the daisies or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's something that goes on at the park now in that field between the Cottage Garden and the.
Soccer shots.
Yeah, okay, because they're over there a lot. And they're little.
Are they
there's
tiny? I really don't know what it is. I
There's
just
a
know
lot
what
of
it is.
crying that goes on.
That's a big part in
Yeah.
it.
So I don't know how you want to integrate those guys with, that's a captive audience there.
Yeah.
They're already playing.
It's already a
sort
thing,
of.
yeah. And I think there's a lot, just from what I see, I think there's a lot of soccer going on in Union County right now. But I think the more you put out there, just the more people will play. I think they'll do soccer shots, and then I think they'll say, hey, one more night a week playing for
Yeah.
Marvin. I
Yeah.
think they just want to play. People want something to do in the evening.
I think that's a good idea.
No, please forgive my ignorance. I just want to know, does Soccer Shots pay Marvin to use that field?
They have the pro pass, yeah, they're rented.
They have a professional pass, I believe.
Okay, I was just curious.
But this would be a Marvin
Sponsored.
soccer league.
Like you
So
pay
this would be a rec
registration.
league. This would be
okay.
for, like, we're now that we have a full-time person to do our events and programming, we are looking to start figuring out how we can program more spaces within the village. And the elementary school happens to have a wonderful field that we can try to utilize. We have other fields in the park that we can utilize and have, but that's kind of the road we're traveling down now. We've had a number of residents come to us and say, hey, we really, we'd love to get we'd love to be involved and figure out how to get more sports fields, within the village. We've had long conversations about, trying to procure more land. It's very expensive, So we're trying to utilize what is current, but try to start programming stuff for the residents that will be Marvin.
You can't really legitimize getting more fields unless you have programs in
Correct.
place to prove
That show that we
there's a-
need it. Yep.
Yeah.
So since we talked about kids, is there any talk about adult stuff, adult
Sure,
leagues?
why
Like
not?
volleyball is cheap.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
I don't know that
We're
you
down
would
for all
be-
the suggestions.
Yeah.
Everything.
I'm not going to use the pickleball word. There, I said it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Our, the fall sports programming or the spring, is that Marvin only?
Yeah, like, the league would be like internal, like just Marvin.
Just
That
Marvin.
would be the idea starting out.
It's a great, I think
I know.
there's something that,
That's
if I'm
very
Providence
Yeah,
town
yeah,
and I
yeah.
want my kids to participate, if I see things Marvin doing that's exclusive to Marvin, like these programs, and I've got children, maybe that is the reason I'd want to.
Like your shirt says like Marvin Parks and Rec, or something like Marvin.
If you're looking for ideas, you have the swim club over here off Tom Short. No, not Tom, is it Tom Short?
Yeah.
And you've also got Waxhaw Marvin Swim and Tennis, closer to like Valhalla Farms. So that's a facility there you could talk to somebody about, so.
Yep. So this is the road we're traveling down, because I'm not sure that was very clear, but we're trying to now work on programming stuff that we have within, the village, that's why Tyler's talking to Milan over at Marvin Creek. I know Canterfield Creek used to use their fields a lot. I don't know if they're still using them as much as they used to. So
I'm over there
Canterfield
some,
Creek,
I never see it being used.
not anymore. They used to be all the time, like 7, 8, 9 years ago, but I don't know that they have, so I would check with Canterfield Creek, because they have a nice,
Really nice.
really nice facility there, so.
And that could be a topic for your HOA president's meeting.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No, I'm really in favor of getting the rec sports thing going, because it was a staple of my childhood. It was run by my local, neighborhood,
No,
where it was a rec league that was complementary to and available to kids without a lot of athletic talent, who are not paying to be in the competitive league and go over to Weddington Sports Fields and all of that, where you just want your kid to have the experience, and I'm not trying to get them a soccer scholarship. We just want to go have fun.
And we may,
That's a
we
great
may
point.
start with soccer, and then we may add in T-ball, and but it's gonna be a process. We're not gonna be able to be,
No, it should grow incrementally, improve itself as it goes.
Yep.
But I think it's an awesome
Rugby.
idea.
so.
4-year-olds playing rugby.
All right, next is,
You out playing soccer, Christina.
No. Volleyball, baby.
next is E, agenda items, review of action items.
I really don't have much. I think we have our marching orders on the events. You guys will obviously be hearing a lot more about the GO bond in the coming months. And yeah, make sure you're available to volunteer if at all possible for our events in the next few months.
Okay.
On calendar.
Review of ongoing action item list.
All right, let me pull it up, Kim.
I've got it. There's really not much on there. So, Bob and I want a bourbon tasting at, bourbon and barbecue. So add that to your list, because Bob and I want that. Okay, it's on his
No
list,
kids
okay.
allowed.
No, 21
No
and over.
bouncy houses.
21 and over,
I mean,
adults only.
it's not about, we focus on the little kiddies an
Yeah.
awful lot, and some of us would,
Like to have an adult.
Maybe it's
event.
Coming
bourbon,
into the
beer, and
fall, fall is a
barbecue.
nice
Maybe
time
we
for
can get
that.
the art going at that one.
There you go. That's not a bad idea. So Bob and I want that, so add that to your list, because that's definitely one that we want. Okay, one thing that is probably missed from this meeting is we need to continue talking about the pocket park. I know nobody wants to talk about it, but we just.
actually, I've got it on Marcia's list as a
Okay.
potential project for the fall.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so let's just add that to our next agenda, just to update, talk about it, see where we are with it. So we're still talking, I know, nobody wants to talk about it anymore, but we're still talking about it. We gotta figure out what we're doing with
We
it.
gotta do something.
To kind of do nothing with it.
No, we've got to either do nothing nicely or do something. So
Just
we
have
need
a
to,
plan for how we're going to maintain.
how we're gonna maintain it, because Matt needs to know, so, because he's, look at him, he really wants to know.
We need to inform people that it's there, because most people
Yes.
don't know it exists.
Yes, so let's add it, let's talk about it again, let's kind of keep it on our agenda until we figure out what we're doing with it and until it's complete.
And to me, that's another thing that would go on our, not our trails list.
Yeah.
It's just like the park would go on that list. These are
Yes.
destinations, if you want to call it that.
Correct.
I think I've already added it on there.
But when we do that marketing thing, yeah.
Okay, that's all I
That needs
had.
to be on there.
That was it from that, thank you.
In terms of helping to make aware that it's there, I wonder if there are new places opening and moving into that little plaza, but maybe talking to them about as a group, about having some sort of event there, at some point,
Yeah, hosting an event there just to make people aware that it's present.
Between Publix, maybe they want to do like a food tasting night or something like that, where they could have some of their vendors. Yeah. Next is board member comments. Bob? I'm good. Jennifer?
I'm good.
Jennifer?
Already said my piece.
Okay.
Same.
All right. Then do I hear a motion on the table for us to adjourn the Village of Marvin Parks Recreations and Greenways meeting here on July 11th at 10:34 a.m.?
So moved.
All in favor? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I am by.
All right, Kim. All right, so.
You're on to the bourbon already?
You take care.
I'm ending the live stream now.
Oh,
So,
it's ridiculous.
I am